I get chills you saying that.
Yeah.
Like, it's true. It's a true thing. I was watching you. What did I see one of? Was it CBS, the Sunday morning show, right? CBS This Morning on Sunday. I was watching that. It was such a great interview, and you were talking about a lot of different things in that interview. But what you just said is more crystallized to me after even watching your body language in that interview of where you are in your life and how you're feeling. Is it harder to name an album or a song when something's new?
Well, they're both pretty easy for me because this one, it's always different. Like sometimes, like with Reputation, I came up with the album name before I even wrote song number one for that album. But with this one, I was halfway into writing the songs before I wrote the song Lover. That's a song I wrote alone. And it was one of those songs that just somehow I just wrote this song really quickly in the middle of the night at my piano. And all of a sudden, I knew that was the title of the album because I almost called the album Daylight, which is the name of another song on the record.
Oh, it's good.
But I felt like that was a little too on the nose, because Reputation was such a dark, evening, nighttime, city album. And I thought that calling the next album Daylight would be a little bit obvious.
Too obvious, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right.
And it's such a love album. It's an album about all different forms of love, even when love hurts. This album is about the full spectrum that love makes us feel. So I was like, this album is definitely going to be called Lover.
It's perfect.
I know.
I remember we were trying to guess it when you were on the phone with us last time, and you're the only one that knew the answer to that.
Can you give us any insight as to when the tour will happen?
Well, that's the thing. I'm not quite sure what we're doing with touring because with this album, I was so full on planning this album release and directing the videos and putting all these different clues in the videos and trying to make this album release experience the most fun one for my fans. That I didn't want to plan what we're going to do in terms of live. And I don't want to do the same thing every time because I don't want my life to feel like I'm on a treadmill.
Yeah.
Because it's just, there's a lot that goes into touring that nobody knows. Like, you have to reserve stadiums like a year and a half in advance. And that to me is like a lot. Like with Reputation, I knew nobody would really fully understand this album until they saw it live. Because I knew what I had planned for it live was going to make people understand what I had made on the record. But this album's different because people are seeming to get this album on a first listen basis, which is so wonderful. I can't even tell you how much easier that is.
Well, I think it must be almost intimidating or a little scary, frightening to think that you'd have to know what you're doing October 12th, 2021, right? At 7:30.
It's been how my life has been for a very long time.
For a long time,
And I think that in waiting to figure out what I'm going to do with touring until the album is done, obviously those meetings start literally tomorrow or something. But I don't want to feel like I have to do the same thing every single time. I definitely want to play this album live for a lot of people. I definitely want to give the fans an opportunity and give me the opportunity to vibe with them on these songs in a live setting and see them sing the words back. But I don't really know exactly what way that's going to happen. Do you know what I mean?
I do. And I am thinking about, you said the treadmill. Life can be like a treadmill. So when you have felt that in the past, and that can be overwhelming. When you felt that in the past, what do you do to step outside and sort of decompress? What is something that takes you away from that overwhelming feeling?
Well, for example, with this time, I've learned to have more healthy ways of communicating how I'm feeling when I'm feeling really, really kind of overwhelmed with obligations and planning and blah, blah, blah. Maybe 6 months ago, my management team came to me and they were like, hey, we've got to book the stadiums for the next tour. And I was like, guys, I just got off tour. I literally just got off tour. I literally just took my tights off and my sky high boots off from the last tour. I literally cannot do this right now. You need to give me space. And even if that means we have to do things a little bit differently, I really can't feel like my life is just album tour, album tour, album tour.
Yeah. Got it.
Good for you.
So you just need to, I think that, part of me growing up has been realizing that, like, my fans have been so generous to me, and they've given me the opportunity to be able to change things up every once in a while if it's feeling like it's too much of a pressure situation, because I never want to phone in a show. I never want to be like, this wasn't what I wanted, this wasn't what I was comfortable with. I want to give them 113% every single show. So I need for it to be in a way that feels right. And they've given me that opportunity by, continuing to support me for over 13 years now.
It's like they come back to you and they say, okay, Taylor, we just did the stadium tour. It's another stadium tour. And you say all you say. And then I would in my head go, they did say stadiums, though. They did say stadiums are always good, right? Stadiums are fun. I saw you the Rose Bowl.
Stadiums are fun. Stadiums are amazing. I love stadiums. But I just don't know if we're going to do the same exact thing we did last time.
You can't. You can't. But I thought at the Rose Bowl, I have to tell you, I think we talked about it. I didn't feel like I was in a stadium.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, any live situation that I'm going to be in, especially when Lover is an album that is so intimate. Like, this album is so personal, so detailed. It's so, like, Reputation was like very external, very loud, very, like, blasting from the speakers from the time you listen to it. This is an album that's very personal, vulnerable, emotional. And so my goal for whatever live setting that we decide to do things in is going to be to try to make wherever we are, whether it's a field or a stadium or whatever, I'm going to try to make it smaller and feel like a living room as much as I possibly can. So that's my goal. That's my objective. I truly don't know what we're doing, so I'm not, like, holding back information. I just, like, haven't had the meetings yet.
Well, we look forward to listening back to this when we know what the show looks like, and the Duraflame log and the fireplace and the coziness and all of that fun stuff.
I don't want it to. It's not going to be an actual living room.
Okay, all right. Yeah, listen, I'm a literal person.